This is the video for Lesson 6.5, Similarity and Measurement. Now in the last lesson, we learned how to look at similar figures and find corresponding angles and sides. We also learned that the ratios of the sides in similar figures is equal. And when we have ratios that equal each other, we can set up proportions. That's what we're going to do in this lesson. So in example 1, we're given that the two quadrilaterals are similar. ABCD is similar to EFGH. And we're going to find the missing side, which in this case is EH. Now sometimes the question will tell you exactly what side to find. Sometimes just in the picture you'll have to look for the variable that's next to one of the sides. Okay, so our first step says write a proportion involving EH. So if I look at my names, I see that E is first and H is last. So I know that that matches up with AD because that's first and that's last. So I'm going to start writing my proportion. So I like to start with the first figure. So we're going to say AD, and we're going to put it over EH. Okay, notice I'm not using any numbers now, we're just saying what sides we're going to use. Okay, well that's going to equal another ratio. And then you want to look in your picture and see which corresponding sides have both measurements given. Well, here we have GF given. If we look, GF would be the two middle letters, which means BC would be the two middle letters. And if we look at our other diagram, we are given BC. So we can use the ratio of these sides here to complete our proportion. Okay, so back here, if I started with ABCD, I'm going to start with that quadrilateral once more. So that one is here, which we said we're going to use BC. And then we're going to use FG. Sometimes it might help to label. So this is your smaller on top and your larger on the bigger. Sorry, your larger on the bottom. Okay, so this is the proportion. Now we're going to substitute. So we're going to take all the values and plug them in. So AD is 16. And then EH is X. BC is 12. FG is 30. So now we can cross multiply. So 12x equals 16 times 30, which is 480. Final step, divide by 12. 12 goes into 48 4 times, so our x is 40. Let's look at B. Here we're given that triangle STU is similar to triangle DEF, and we want to find DF. Okay, so let's set up some ratios. Well, DF, the first and last letter, would match up with SU. Okay, so we'll say SU over DF. Okay, and the other sides that we're given is TU, and that should hopefully match up with EF, and it does. So we're going to say TU over EF. So we plug in our numbers. SU is 35, DF is X, TU is 45, and EF is 36. Okay, at this point you could always use your calculator. So we're going to cross multiply. 45 times x is 45x. 35 times 36 is 1,260. Final step is divide by 45. And we get x equals 28. Okay, now it's your turn to try. So try the checkpoint exercise. Press play when you are ready. Okay, we're given that JKLM is similar to PQRS. Okay, we are finding PQ. So we will say, let's see, PQ would be our first two letters. So that's our first two letters here. So JK over PQ. We are also given JM, which would be PS. So JM over PS. JK is 36, PQ is X, JM is 21, and PS is 35. Okay, if we cross multiply, we get 21X equal to 1,260. And we divide by 21. And we get that X equals 60. And actually, I haven't been putting my units in, so we're going to say 60 inches. And let's go back and change this, so 28 millimeters. And this is 40 inches. Okay, flip the paper over. Now, sometimes they're not going to give you pictures. They're just going to give you a word problem. Okay, and if that's the case, it's often best to draw a picture. And now my wonderful artistic skills are going to come into play. It says a man who is 6 feet tall is standing near a saguaro cactus. The length of the man's shadow is 2 feet. The cactus casts a shadow 5 feet long. How tall is the cactus? So, we have a man. Okay, and he is 6 feet tall. And we have a cactus. We'll get some needles. Okay, and that is an unknown height because it says how tall is the cactus, so we'll say that's X. Okay, and then we have some sun up here. Don't actually have to draw that in, but we have some sun which is causing some shadows. It says the length of the man's shadow is 2 feet, and the cactus has a shadow of 5 feet. Now if we look what's happening here, we can take our little man and his shadow, and if we connect them, it forms a triangle. And if we take the cactus and its shadow and connect them, we get another triangle. And these two triangles are similar triangles. So we can use the ratios of their heights and their shadows in order to set up a proportion and then solve for that missing height. Okay, so we can say the man's height over the cactus's shadow. Sorry, the man's height over the cactus's height. And then the man's shadow over the cactus's shadow. We could have also said the man's height to his shadow and the cactus's height to its shadow. Okay, either way is fine. Okay, if we cross multiply, we get 2x equals 30. If we divide by 2, x is 15 feet. Okay, last one. We have ABC is similar to triangle DEC, and we are finding BE. Now this one's a little bit trickier. We're going to take this tiny triangle that's inside our bigger triangle. Okay, so if we look at the tiny triangle, I'm going to label it here. So tiny over big. The tiny, we have CE, and the big would be CB. At the other side, we have DE over AB. Okay, so the sides and then the bottoms. So CE is 36 right here. But CB, the problem is we have this part is X and this part is 36. So if we want the whole side, it would be X plus 36. We have to combine them together. DE is 15 and AB is 20. Now we're still going to cross multiply. But over here, what's going to happen is we are going to have to multiply that 15 by the whole thing of X plus 36. And then on the other side, we have 36 times 20, which is 720. But now we need to distribute. So we get 15x. 36 times 15 is 540. We need to subtract 540 from both sides. We have a two-step equation. We get 15x equals 180. And if we divide by 15, we get x is 12. Okay. Now it does ask for BE, which is what we found. So our answer is 12 inches. You just have to be careful because sometimes they'll ask you for that big side. Okay, they might ask you for BC. And in that case, you'd have to add your 12 and your 36 together. But our answer is 12 inches. And that is the end of the lesson. If you have any questions, please make sure you write them down and we will go over them tomorrow.